Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. Without going into too much detail up front, I will be joined by a special guest that you will soon find out about, and we're going to do some FAQs, some frequently asked questions that I get commonly when talking to people about the podcast. So without further ado, grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated Crew? Today marks our 52nd episode, which means that we've been going at this for a year. Happy anniversary, everyone who's been listening since day one. Thank you so much for making this podcast what it has been, which is becoming an awesome community that loves coffee and music. Yeah, today I have something special. I'm joined by my wife, Nancy. She is the brains behind the Beans and Breakdown operation. Anything that you see visually on Instagram, logos up until now, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a bit, have all been from her because she has an art degree and I don't. So Nancy, welcome on the podcast.
Hello.
I know some of you have asked this question: will Nancy ever be on the podcast? I'm looking at you, Phil, and Whispers from the Void Boys. Here she is.
Here I am.
So yeah, we're having some coffee. We're going to have some questions. What are we drinking?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to read it. So we've got Anthony, which was a guest about, I think, 2 weeks ago. He sent us a lot of coffees and a lot of shirts, which we're super thankful for. Actually, I think we're both wearing our Goshen Coffee.
One of them, yes.
Swag right now. But we've got this great coffee today, which is called the Summer Squeeze by Goshen Coffee, as I said. It specifically says that it should be enjoyed brewed hot or cold. And Grayson today actually made it the way I like it, which is a Japanese pour-over, which is a pour-over with ice.
Yes. It's either called a Japanese pour-over or a Japanese iced coffee. It's a V60 with ice.
Either way, it's got ice in it because it's pretty hot today.
It's better than cold brew because you still get the nice acidity. By introducing the heat, you get a bloom. So you still get a lot of those great, acidic, bright flavors.
Yeah, it's really delicious. I think this is like a coffee that I would have in the summertime here in Montreal. Mm-hmm. It's an enjoyable coffee. It's very, would you say it's very like floral? Is that what you said?
To me, it's got like kind of, and it's one of the notes on the bag, but it has kind of a tea flavor. Has a little hit of citrus, and then
it's a citrus. That's what I'm tasting.
Yeah, it's got some citrus in it. It does have a touch of floral, but more like a vegetal floral.
It's definitely, that's what I was looking for. It's the citrus, and I think that's what makes it a very summery drink.
It's on the brink of an Arnold Palmer, I would say. Like the lemonade sweet tea mix. So it's very good.
That's true.
Thanks, Anthony. Shout out Goshen.
Yeah, which, by the way, we do appreciate the people who do send us coffees. We always enjoy them to the max.
Yes. It's more of a matter of drinking it in a timely manner.
Exactly. But we do. I think we've got like a nice little coffee setup, and we usually have about like 3 coffees for the week that we try to get through.
Rotate.
Yes.
Just rotate.
Well, I work from home, so I think I actually get to enjoy them a little bit more. But
I take 2 bags to work too that I bounce around.
But yeah, so I actually had some questions for you today, though. Some questions that I think are good to end the year. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind,
let's go. Let's do it.
Get started with those. We'll start with an easy one, and that is going to be the origin of Beans and Breakdowns. So I know I was there when we started thinking of this, and it basically kind of branch it off from Matt McGachy, who is the host of Box and Hops, which is another amazing podcast.
It's a hop daddy. He's the hop daddy, the pod daddy.
Exactly, aka Pod Daddy.
Daddy.
But he's an awesome guy. I think he's the one who pushed us and was like, do it, just do the podcast. Y'all would be great. So he showed us a lot of stuff. He's kind of guided us, not just like choosing what kind of mic, but also I think, on Instagram, how to handle our time.
And hosting, where you should get podcast hosting.
Exactly. He's been an awesome guy.
Yeah.
But how do you think you branched off of what Pod Daddy does towards what you are doing? What's different?
So Fox and Hops, his motto has been, it's for metal and craft beer, for those of you that are not familiar, which it's an incredible podcast. But it is more geared towards being a metal vocalist. He speaks with a lot of people in, like, specifically metal and craft beer, which craft beer, if you know, is similar to coffee in the sense of it's a very kind of niche thing. And if you're in it, you're in it. There's so many different levels. For our kind of goal, it was coffee first. I was trying to figure out a way to make a coffee podcast. I'm sorry to say, a lot of coffee podcasts, as much as I love coffee and I love the community, they're really boring. And that's no offense. Please don't hate me for saying that, but you really have to be a coffee nerd to enjoy it. I enjoy some of them, but for a lot of people, it's not going to be a listenable thing. I wanted to find something that also would be more of an icebreaker. So for people in heavy music, which is, metal, punk rock, punk, hardcore, a lot of those people also enjoy coffee. And I feel like when you have somebody from the coffee community that you want to talk to, before you kind of get into the technical and nerdy things that make me excited and some of the listeners, some of you guys excited, you can open the podcast talking about music. What kind of music are you into? You've been listening to? And, flip to the other side of the coin, you open up with some coffee talk. When you're sharing a cup of coffee with somebody, you can chat. It's like sharing a beer, but you're going to get hyper. So I just feel like it was a great way to bridge two very kind of elitist underground that can sometimes have a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of elitism, a lot of judgment, and opening those up and speaking with people directly that are involved with those communities to show people it's not really worth, being an elitist or being judgmental, because everybody's kind of at their own level, and it's okay to like what you like and like different things. So that's really what it was all about. I was a little bit frustrated by both communities and wanted to do something positive and progressive to introduce people.
And I guess in that inclusive mentality is one of the reasons that we also strayed away from maintaining it specifically to hardcore, because that's what we had thought at the beginning. Obviously, being some breakdowns being, I guess, derived from the hardcore sort of idea.
Yeah.
But we started to branch out and thinking, okay, if we're going to be inclusive, then having that mentality of saying, okay, only hardcore is not, right? We're gatekeeping, basically. Like, we're keeping to this really small community that is actually part of a bigger community. So we decided to keep it completely open.
Right.
I mean, heavy music is what we're striving for, but we've had people from the punk community. We've had people from, obviously, the metal community, hardcore community, I don't know, so many crazy amounts of...
Well, it allows us to even introduce people like Hands and Feet that is adjacent to, metal and hardcore. He's been a part of beatdown bands and metalcore bands, but he's doing something a bit different, but it should also be included because it's a subgenre of heavy music, metal trap, emo rap, whatever you want to call it. It's a part of that community. And I think that trying to pigeonhole yourself into a genre or subgenre is kind of defeating the purpose of, just being a part of a community. So that's really, I think, the most productive way to do it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Listening to so many people, mostly I guess how you call them, older heads or people who've been in the industry, both either coffee or the metal or heavy music industry for a longer time. They are the ones that are actually the most open-minded, and they're the ones being stop telling people that that's not part of this community.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, and that, even for me, that's been super eye-opening, and I enjoyed really listening to all of those people and all of your guests in general. But I'm super happy. I think the podcast ended up being something that maybe we didn't expect, but at the same time we kind of did, or were hoping for.
Yeah.
We met so many random people and awesome people, which out of all of those, which was the most surprising guest? Somebody that you weren't expecting to have on?
I didn't expect for Paul to say yes to come on a podcast that hadn't been released, that had no Instagram.
Well, to be specific, this is Paul from
Yeah,
Between the Buried
Paul
and Me.
Wagner from Between the Buried and Me. I mean, he's in arguably one of the most popular prog metal bands that's, still playing music. And he also runs a kick-ass coffee roastery. And having somebody like him on, I didn't really expect, I expected like maybe not right now, I'm busy, or maybe just a straight up ghost, But the fact that he, willingly agreed to come on and talk to me about coffee for an hour was extremely surprising. And I'm very, very thankful for that, because that's one of my favorite episodes. Is he nerded out about coffee roasting and like what it's like to run a coffee business.
It is crazy because we've reached out to so many guests and we always think like, oh, they're never going to answer. Like, there's no way. And I think we just have this really bad mentality, which is part of what we've learned, that it's a community, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, Aaron from Jesus Peace, he responded right away and he was super stoked, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And his episode was like super different. It was very like loud with his kid and everything.
It's been called chaotic.
But it was fun though. And I think it was enjoyable to have him on. And like, people don't know, but sometimes we have to cut the episode because it ends up being 2-3 hours. But that's only because you're actually enjoying like talking to the guest and you're, we're making like connections and like growing this little community of the podcast.
Yeah.
But like for me, another one that I was just super stoked to have on was ALN from Mistmore.
Yeah.
To me, that was like super special. Maybe even like Mole, Kim from Mole.
Yeah.
That's another band that I just really, really love. And I think another one that pops out to me is Hambone from Major Treat. That was a talk that I think was very important. It was halfway through the podcast, like in the life of the podcast until now.
Right.
And he was super supportive. He was very like, I would say like repetitive of what we should be doing, which was again, being not a gatekeeper, being open-minded, pushing about the coffee, pushing about like what we're inspired about.
Well, it was more about opening community-minded businesses, which is what the coffee industry is supposed to do. Is globally, like it is there to kind of help the local economies that are involved in the production of it. And so the fact that he opened a barbershop first with that community, he was approached by somebody in the community that wanted him to have a shop there. And then the fact that he partnered with Martin to open Major Treat, to focus on, not corporatizing a neighborhood or gentrifying a neighborhood, but that he's become kind of it's become like a fast hold of that community, was I think the most important part, is just, knowing how to do things in a healthy way and still be profitable and still, create income, but doing it in a way that's also with people first.
Right. And I think it's like standing up for what you believe in and being like kind of hard-headed about it in a way,
yeah.
because he is, and he knows what he believes, or he knows what he is passionate about. And that episode felt like that. It felt powerful. And he is a very like powerful man when he talks and the things that he says. And if you've ever been to Major Treat in Toronto, like you can see the poster that he has up, they're in your face, right? Which is awesome. So I love that episode. But we'll stray away, I guess, from the past, because we've had a lot of amazing guests and I can only kind of keep thinking of more and more. But we'll go more towards like the future. What is a guest that you're hoping to have next year? Even if it doesn't happen, what's the goal for next year?
For next year, it's just that there's so many, like, I'm really, really wanting to talk to Aaron from Bane. We've been in talks, and I'm really trying to get it scheduled. He's a busy man. But Bane is a very important band to me. And so being able to speak with him would be really great.
Can I call one out?
Yeah.
And I know this is one that we need to reach out to again, but Hardcore Keem.
I really want to talk to
Right?
Hardcore Keem. He's doing a festival this year, which is going to be sick.
Yeah.
It's called...
I think it's going to be one that would be a lot of fun. I mean, we had Derek with a Y, which, for example, that was a guest that was amazing. Like he's become somebody that's pretty close to you, I would say. He's like,
Well, we chat.
yeah, but I'm saying like it was not expected, right? Like
No.
we just thought, okay, we're gonna interview him and then bye. But he's like communicate with us, like he stayed in touch. So I think he would be kind of a transition towards like Hardcore Keem, which is very similar sort of humor within the community.
Yeah, like a content creator, like comedy. Yeah, I guess that's what you would call it, a content creator, a metal-minded content creator.
We're too old for that.
Fucking boomers over here.
But no, I feel like now I have so many in my head, but one that would be maybe not this next year, but the year after. We'll see how it goes, but definitely like what's his name from Hey 5 6?
Oh, Sonny.
Sunny, yes.
Yeah, if anybody has a connection with Sonny, go ahead and send him my way. Because Hate 5 6 is probably the thing I watch the most in life. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of potential guests, which is why I think we're excited for the future and the next year because we've got a lot of great stuff that we're planning. So one of them is specifically, I guess, in my end, which is the visual part of it. We had Matt, which helped us with our logos. So we're not changing the logos in any crazy way. He basically took them and made them look even better and a little more professional.
Clean it up.
Clean it up, that's right. But we've got that, which is going to allow us to kind of get a little bit of merch also going. So that's a potential for this upcoming year, hopefully before the end of the actual year. But we'll see how that also goes. We're taking it slow.
Yeah.
We're taking it slow. We're seeing how many listeners we're gaining as well, which has been a good amount. It's been consistent, which is also super, super thankful for everybody that's taking their time. But another one that we have is you want to do a show. So
Yeah.
not this calendar year, but ideally the next one. And for that, you're hoping to have like a mixed bill, which I know everybody always hears you say that because that's important.
They're the best.
It's super important. And out of the guests that we have had, not that they'll be on it, but who would you ideally like to reach out to?
I really want to see Pillars of Autumn live. I want to see Nick's vocals. I want to hear them with my ears. I really, really would love to have Peer Pressure. Honestly, yeah, like Peer Pressure. Payasa goes so hard. Like, I want to see them live. Trying to think who. Chamber. Chamber would be fucking amazing.
Well, I'm thinking of obviously the bands that are near us, right? So
Okay,
Katra.
so yeah, Katra's
Katra's
great.
a great one.
Cold
Cold Shoulder. There you go.
CIDB would be fun.
Yep.
I have Jason. He's gonna be the episode released next week. So after this, they're just a lot of fun live. So that would really, really be a lot of fun. But those in close proximity, Cancer Bats, if we could swing it, obviously.
I mean, it was great also talking to him.
Liam,
Yeah, he's a great guy.
he's such like a bro. It's amazing. I love it.
But that kind of has to do with, his music.
Yeah.
Like that's how it is. It's fun.
It's
But-
very like no cares, all good.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
fun.
it was enjoyable. I mean, there's so many guests. I'm thinking of more and more, like as I say here, but definitely Katra was amazing. Yeah, Cold Shoulder. We gotta get Cold Shoulder no matter what. And I'm even thinking like it would be pretty fun, but Satanic Coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Dominic,
His band.
he has a band and he is just such an amazing guy. Like talking to him, and you should go back. That was one of our first episodes too, which we probably need to do like a redo because I love Dominic and he has he's not just like owns a tea company, but he also has an amazing band. He does a lot of comedy
And merch.
content. Yeah, he does merch, which is how it started. So that's an amazing guy.
His TikTok content is incredible.
It is.
It's so offensive in the best ways.
It's like a slap on the face.
Yeah.
And I even remember, and I know, not to be like any sort of like religious person at all, but on Easter, that's when he really swung that hand. Like he was just having some of the craziest stuff on there. Like one of them, I think it said it was like how to what does it do? Like how to redo your or how to get rid of your
How to unbaptize yourself.
yeah, basically how to unbaptize yourself. And it was just like in your face. And when he gets comments from like Christian people, he'll always take us like a screenshot and then put them like he just does not give a shit, which is amazing.
I love it so much.
Yes, he's great. So many great guests. But we'll end it. We'll keep it short. Thank you everybody so much for listening. Please also, by the way, keep like sending us messages. Like both Grayson and I are always careful about making sure that we respond as quick as we can. Obviously, we both have jobs and we have like a lot of crazy stuff outside of this, but we always respond. So whether it's a positive or a negative note, send it our way because we're growing, we're learning.
We have no idea what you want to hear unless you tell us.
But we also have no idea what we're doing. So
We're learning as we go.
exactly.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening. It's very touching that so many people are tuning in and hearing from, all these incredible guests, but then they're listening to my stupid fucking mouth say shit every week.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
It's pretty stupid.
That was such a great sentence that I said just there. But yeah, keep your eyes out for merch. I love merch because I'm a stupid hardcore kid and a scene kid.
swag.
What am I going to do with all my swag?
Exactly.
But yeah, keep your eye out. I want to make a kick-ass, straight edge-esque shirt to pay homage to the Roots.
Yeah, we've got some great ideas out
Yeah,
there.
so
I mean,
it'll be,
yeah.
it's it gonna be fire. Yeah,
yeah, it'll be great. So we'll end it like that.
it'll be great,
It will be amazing.
great.
But yeah, we're looking out. Also we've got Outbreak Fest, which whenever this gets released,
We will be there
at
tomorrow
Outbreak Fest.
when this is released.
That's true.
The next day,
If all goes well, we'll be there.
I will be front flip stage diving.
Yes, and I will be in the back taking care of you. But
I would be
yeah.
chilling with Finbar.
Hell yeah. Finbar. Let's just end it right there, please. See, this is why I'm not a co-host.
Do you have a last question for me or what?
I could end it with one question for you.
Oh God.
Let's do it.
Mm.
So you always ask everybody this question, and now you already know what it is, but I want to know as well.
Who's my favorite Iron Chef?
No, not that one. What is your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
It gonna be Montreal.
It has to be.
It has to be. It's the best city in North America. Undebatably.
Not a joke.
Objectively the best city in North America. It reignited my love in coffee. So many coffee shops, so many roasters, such a rich coffee community, and like a wealth of knowledge that people are, always willing to share and talk about. The Canadian Roasting Society, balance, roasting, structure, like all the people that I've met and formed relationships here locally, like even some of these smaller guys that are starting to roast, like Jungle, speaking with their head roaster, I mean, they're awesome. Like so many amazing, and they just love coffee, like all of the people involved. So yeah, like that's one part of it. The other part of it is the music scene here. And I say music scene because it's there's so many different kind of worlds happening. And then on, certain occasions, they'll kind of collide. Like seeing Circle Jerks and 7 Seconds, you get, the old school hardcore dudes that are coming out of Mosh retirement. You have younger hardcore dudes like me that, really wanted to see 7 Seconds. And undeniably, Circle Jerks is one of the fathers of hardcore. And then you have the punks, which they're just crazy and pogo dancing. Like,
I mean, for me, it's definitely, Francis, which shout out to Francis. But I think the punk community here is probably the best I've seen from the places that I have lived in.
Yeah.
It's super welcoming. It's very real. Like it knows where it's heading, right? And it's got some really great bands. I mean, Ruffians is one of the best. So that's the reason but you got CIDV. And then also, I mean, you haven't even talked about the metal community, which is the most intense here in Montreal.
Montreal is a metal city. It's like crazy. Yeah. The metal scene here is insane. And there's just so many metal bands, but even like the hardcore bands that are here are really, really great. Scarfold, Desecrate, Category 514, Deadbolt. Deadbolt's going to be releasing some music soon, I think. It's so many. And people are doing cool things. Like next week you'll hear about it, but Church of Hardcore was announced. It's a small festival, and it's all locals, with some exceptions of being from Ottawa, but that's technically local to that area. So there's people that have a real heart for the DIY community, and that's really what's keeping a lot of this thriving. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's a great city for both beans and breakdowns.
For both the beans and the breakdowns. So
yeah, thank you for having me on. I probably won't be on again because I'm weird. I say weird stuff.
No, you don't. You didn't even give us a howdy.
Oh well, howdy there.
That's one of my favorite things. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for putting up with my annoying voice every week. And thank you for just tuning in. Give me suggestions. I'm going to start putting some polls, some questions if you're listening on Spotify. Unfortunately, it's Spotify exclusive, but you'll be able to participate if that's the platform you're listening on, which I know that a high percentage of people are. And yeah, just give us a shout if you like something, if you don't like. If there's a release that's come out that you feel like we haven't addressed or that we aren't aware of, send it in. We've had listeners do that. If you have coffee suggestions from around Canada, I'm running out of Quebec and Montreal roasters. So if you feel like there's a roaster in Canada or even in the US that I could possibly order from.
Well, so you say, but I feel like every time we go out, we find a new one.
Yeah, it's like every other week there's a new coffee roaster in Montreal, which is cool. Like, I'm not complaining.
No, of course. But yeah, definitely let us know. Send us a message. We'll respond. Even if it takes a bit, but we'll definitely respond. And if you have any ideas for us in general, we're happy to take them.
FaceTime us.
Well, please don't FaceTime us.
FaceTime us. Give us your suggestions.
I don't even know if you can do that. Oh, actually, you can in Instagram.
Say it to my face.
Anyways.
You won't do it. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, for getting us to 52 wonderful episodes. That's all we have for you. You want to help me with the sign off, Nancy?
Let's do it.
So until next week, stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.